what's up guys? This is Rafa with Rafa Racing here again. Thank you for watching. Today I am going to do a Lambo versus Ferrari type of deal here. We're going to talk about my SVJ and my SF90. Both of them were 2021. Both of them are in a similar price range. The build from the MSRP standpoint, now in the resale market, or I guess kind of what the market price for those, both roughly $1 million now. So I think it's very fitting to kind of compare the two. The reason is Ferrari SF90 is the new technology with the hybrid and the electric motors, and then you have the SVJ, what's going out, which is just a pure raw V12 naturally aspirated engine. SVJ obviously is way more aggressive. It's got the wing. The SF90 doesn't have a wing other than, there at the end. There is some form of a built-in wing, but it doesn't have a big arrow. The arrow itself is a lot more aggressive on the SVJ. From the look in the rear or the side profile, they're very different cars. One gives you more of an elegant, curvy, real smooth look to it. This gives you just a mean, aggressive, loud look. The fact that you can see the engine in the SVJ is just wild, just how big it is and how much space it takes. But also the SF90 has a similar type of viewing, which is actually, I think, equally as impressive. It doesn't look as big as a V12, but I think what makes it impressive is just how low it actually sits. So obviously being a Ferrari engine, it's beautiful, it looks amazing, but versus most of the other Ferraris that I've actually seen and been around, this engine sits way lower, so it has that center of gravity a lot more lower to the ground. One of the cool things about the SF90 is you can actually quite easily pop the latch open. The edging itself, as you can see, it just sits way low down there. It's absolutely beautiful. It's just super crazy and just hard to believe how crammed all that stuff is in there, how nice they make it look. I'd say a pretty cool aspect of the car. Obviously, having the electric motors at the front is a bit different for the SF90. Take a look at the electric motors. So it has sort of a viewing area for the electric motors as well, which is kind of cool that they kind of put that detail in there just to kind of highlight it. Let me see what else here in terms of just the exterior, some of the unique things that each car has. In terms of the exterior carbon, the SVJ has way more carbon. It's very similar to the Senna, where it has a lot of accents with the exposed carbon. The SF90 actually doesn't have any exposed carbon on the outside. So it's still a carbon car, but you don't see much of anything exposed. In terms of the interior of the cars, they're both very similar in terms of the color. The red in the Ferrari, it's the red seats. The one great thing that I love about the SF90 is the electric nature of it, that you can actually leave the house in the morning and not wake up your neighbors, not rattle up to your garage. That's a really cool aspect of having an electric or a hybrid kind of car. The SVJ wakes up your whole neighborhood and some. So clearly there's some subtleness to this one, some elegance to it. In terms of the wheels, I kind of like the SVJ wheels better. I'll just happen to like, I think, black on black wheels more, but I still love the SF90 wheels. Those are still very fitting to the car, and the design is pretty cool. It's not just very simple 5-spoke. It has these little things here that kind of stick out, so it kind of gives it a really cool design. So with the Lamborghini doors, you get more of a wow factor. Similar interior with the red seats, red trimmings. The Lamborghini has still the traditional buttons that make it look sort of like a jet, and there was all kinds of commands. One of the major differences from just the car itself is that the SVJ is actually a roadster. So that's not a roadster, this was a roadster. So SVJ has 770 horsepower, the SF90 has 986. They have similar horsepower when it comes just to the engine, but obviously the electric motors on the SF90 give it an extra 217 or something like that. From a performance standpoint, the SVJ for a long time had a lot of track records, along with Senna and even LaFerrari and some of those crazy machines. The SF90 feels, I think just because it has more horsepower, like a lot lighter of a car. The SVJ feels a lot heavier of a car. They are very different cars to drive, but equally as crazy and impressive machines as they are. The SVJ it feels big, it feels heavy. Obviously you see how big and light the car is. but it has all the horsepower that you want, so the car moves. You have all this gearbox making noise and clunking around. You have the engine just humming all the time, non-stop. From that standpoint, the car feels like a race car in a sense. The SF90, more of a daily drivable type of car. Whether you're in a hybrid mode or in a performance mode, the gears are super smooth. It feels a lot more nimble. It doesn't appear it to be a track car or a race car as much as you would think visually looking at the SVJ, how crazy it looks. But it does handle its own. It is a Ferrari after all. And at the end of the day, having 986 horsepower against 770 of the SVJ, it kind of adds up. So one of the cool things that the SF90 has is actually for the key, they have this little space there where you can stick the key in and keep it safe without falling out. So that is a pretty unique, nice touch. And now you can actually have it kind of like a little, piece of art or display there. From the steering wheel commands to pretty much everything, it's touchscreen. To start the car, you start it. It defaults to the hybrid. And again, the wheels turn right now with the way we have the car's positioned. But start the car, and the car is on, and you wouldn't know it because it defaults to the hybrid. So, in this mode, you can literally drive out of your house down the road. It gives you 15 miles of travel, and you wouldn't actually wake up or make any sound. So that's pretty cool and unique. The touchscreen here for the sound and any sort of the other commands is here. My wife actually, it is her favorite car of all the ones that I have. So particularly as a passenger, it is actually probably the nicest seat, most comfortable ride that I currently have. So from a passenger standpoint, it is actually a pretty neat and pretty cool experience and just comfort, very comfortable. As you guys that know Lamborghini Aventadors or just Lambos in general, they tend to have this massive center console, but it has just an infinite amount of buttons, kind of like in a jet sort of setting. So you actually do get to experience more of a I'd say more of a feel to what you're doing. This one still has the displays that make it feel a little bit more aged, but it is a 21, and it is still an incredible car. So the one thing too that's also different is the keys. The Aventador has this kind of plastic, very generic looking key. I'm actually very underwhelmed and unimpressed by it. It doesn't really do anything for me, but they kept it simple. So the SF90 has this beautiful squared key. It's got a leather pad here, so the front of the key has the SF90 badge, leather finish with stitching, and it has this beautiful back metallic with the logo and obviously the horse and the Ferrari on it. So now that's mostly the physical difference that you can see and described a little bit of what it feels like to actually drive the cars. One of the big differences that they have is the exhaust sound and what the car sounds like. So I'll go ahead and show you guys. I'll start with the SF90. One thing I did forget about was the plug-in. Because it's a hybrid, it has a plug-in connection here and the fuel on the other side. And obviously the SVJ only has the fuel, it doesn't have the plug-in. So here's where you plug in the cable. I would say very familiar sound from a Ferrari that I'm used to, and obviously we'll hear the Lamborghini here with much different pitch. So completely different sounds, completely type of experience in hearing it, and then just driving, you can feel the difference when you're driving it from the exhaust standpoint. So I think from a look standpoint, obviously the SVJ is a lot more impressive. So if you're going for the wow factor and the head turner, that's going to be more of a loud car, but not as fun to daily drive or as enjoyable to drive. You go with the SVJ. if you want still a crazy car that you can truly enjoy and be able to have more use out of, I'd say the SF90. But you can't go wrong with either one. They're both about $1 million, both 2021s. And again, new technology, and this is going to be, unfortunately, sort of the old technology, which is a shame, but that's where the world's going, and we all just got to adapt and find the best value and best experience that we can with what we got. All right, so that's essentially my two beasts there, SF90 SVJ. Let us know which one you guys choose or which ones you guys would prefer. Personally, I can't choose. They're like my two babies. If I had to choose between them, I wouldn't choose between them. I would just keep both of them, which is what I intend to do. So please let us know what you guys think. Know something maybe about the cars that we missed or any feedback on it. Thanks again for watching. As always, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications, tell your friends, tell your family, and thank you for watching.